sing. I don't want to bust your eardrums. I haven't exactly warmed my voice up. And I say this every day, but I'm going to give it a go. Give it a go. Good morning. Good morning. It's going to be a good morning wherever you are because you woke up and you're facing a new day. What do you have to be grateful for today is the first question you should ask yourself. And most cynical people say, meh, nothing. But you're breathing, right? And so therefore you have something to be grateful for. And a new day brings new hope, a new hope. It's not just a Star Wars thing. It's also our right as human beings. Right, great, let's get into it. What's happening in the news, but what are you grateful for? Please do share if you feel like it. Share in the comments. What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for us. I'm grateful for persevering throughout everything. I'm grateful that we have a world in which, even though we are oppressed and suppressed and our right to live struggle-free is constantly being undermined by everybody who would rather live with profits, we still speak up and speak out. This is televisionary time. This is the Daily Egg for Friday, April 26th, 2024. Let's go to the news headlines at ABC Australia. Let's see. Australia shouldn't tolerate terrorism, but our normalization of intimate partner terrorism has become a national emergency. And this is because of more and more domestic violence statistics that are happening in Australia. They like to say that in the last 2 years, domestic violence stats have gone up. The fact that it's gone up hasn't gone up from zero is bad enough. It should never be something that exists, but we do know that there is a problem, and it's a problem affecting women. The problem being males who cannot find their strength. Cannot, and it's not quite as noble as that either. I feel that they're weak-minded people who blame women for their existence. And I talked about that yesterday on the Sandhya show, and I still haven't published that because I was quite, well, I didn't censor myself at all. Brutal? Was I brutal? Yes. I think sometimes vocal brutality is needed, not to put people down, not to lash out, not to cut people down emotionally and mentally, but to break these bubbles of delusion that we all float around in. Anyway, Molly Ticehurst's death exposes gaps in justice system, former magistrate says. Molly Ticehurst was allegedly murdered, they like to say allegedly until proven, but by her ex-boyfriend just 2 weeks after he faced court charged with other violent offences. A former magistrate and law expert says this shows a gap in the system that puts victims at risk anytime this happens, and it happens on a daily basis. Women really do live in fear. This is how you know how strong we are, because women live with this every day. Unless, of course, you're completely insular and you think that life is all, I was going to say Guns and Roses. Because, well, that's really what it is. Life is Guns and Roses in some ways. Oh, gosh. Another headline. And I'm just talking about Molly Ticehurst, what has happened. She was beaten to death by her ex-partner who was allowed out of jail a week after he was let go. And I'll read more news about that in a moment. Let me just continue with what's happening on ABC headlines. All-white jury, female wailing and necrophilia. How an outback man got away with some very bad things. Now, that would be an understatement. On a road out at the back of Burke, the lives of 2 Indigenous teenage girls ended in 1987. They were failed by the police as the lawyer for the defendant played on racial tensions in the town. More headlines. New York appeals court overturns. I don't know, I'm reading the headline. Harvey Weinstein's 2020 rape conviction from Me Too trial. New York's highest court finds that the judge at the landmark Me Too trial prejudiced the ex-movie mogul with improper rulings. Now they're going to set this idiot free.
Yeah.
It's a war on women. It's a war on women. World over. They have always... Oh, that's what happened, right? I'm a bit lost for words right now with all the things I'm reading. Please be aware that the headlines the headlines I'm reading out may trigger you. Please understand that and brace yourself for that. Oh, gosh. So another headline. Joan told her manager at a child contact center she was worried 4-year-old Sally might be being abused. She was later fired. A social worker at a child contact center has alleged key players in a family court case ignored her concerns about the possible abuse of a 4-year-old. It's just headline after headline of abuse against women and girls. I'm lost for words. I really am. I can't even give you my analysis or my interpretation, or not interpretation. News should not be left up to interpretation until you read the whole thing. And then you can then find out for yourself what doesn't get said and how the headlines are skewed to make you... It's like when headlines are given about the Israel war on Palestine and the Israel-Hamas conflict. There's always, the headlines are geared towards making you think that it's a Palestinian-Israeli war when it's not. And of course, headlines will also make you think that it's anti-Semite, to be pro-humanitarian, pro-people who are being bombed and killed in their beds, or they don't, they may wake up and their hope is that they don't die that day. How crazy. How crazy. Wherever you are now, take thanks, give thanks and gratitude that you do not have a ballistic missile heading your way. By the way, the US has just funded Israel. Funded. I'm not going to say gave money to protect themselves. Excuse me? They funded it. And those of you who are listening and think, oh my gosh, look at it, she's on the side. No, I'm on the side of humanity. I want us all to live. I want the people of Israel to really answer this question. What is wrong with you that you take joy from the death of innocent people? In the name of God? What would your God say to you if your God was in front of you right now, about you individually and you collectively? What would your God think of you? Do you think your God would be pleased with you? Do you think this is what God wants? I'm going to move on to news headlines from The Guardian. Trump hush money trial. David Pecker testifies Michael Cohen said Trump furious over refusal to pay Stormy Daniels. Now, Stormy Daniels was, I think, a sex worker or a stripper who had an affair with Trump. Like, ew, she should be paid all the money in the world to allow that person. I may have to move on. I don't mean to make light of this, but this is, what's his, Melania? That is an ultimate traitor to the cunt. Ugh. And all these people, including my ex-partner, thought Melania was very attractive. I'm like, sure. But, the sour, sucked on a sour lemon, or, face that she had was because she had to contaminate her womb with the sperm from that person. If you're looking for your news to be impartial, this is not the place to find it. I refuse to be unemotional and impartial about the news. Being impartial and unemotional has really contributed to where we are in this present moment. Look to yourself and where you are in this present day, and can you say that the world is ticking along quite nicely? Only if you're one of the 1% who benefits from everyone else being absolutely miserable. And we still smile, we still carry on. And Dwayne and I talk often about how we are all We've made the choice to be in the grid of society. We have made these choices because we do know, we have said, we have had no other choice. Whew. But we did. We did have a choice. We all chose to comply.
Yeah.
Through manipulation. I'm going to have to be on the behalf, if this was a court of world, the world's soul is at stake, the world's, in a court of law, say, we were fighting for and against the soul of the world, right? I will have to concede that we did play a part in our own, whatever this is we're in right now. All right, I'm going to continue with, look, Australian news headlines are really interesting right now, and I don't really know what to read you. As I have mentioned to regular viewers, I cold read. I do not want to familiarize myself. I'd like to be as surprised as you as to what is making news headlines every day. So we will continue. And I think I might go to Sydney Morning Herald. And I was talking, had mentioned about this terrible, terrible murder that has happened to another young woman, young women, especially Euro women and Indo-Indian women. Constantly. I'm not saying that these are the only two racial groupings that have got the atrocities happening to them in domestic violence. It's everyone. I also have experience with it in my childhood. I witnessed it and then became the brunt of it. I do know how these alleged people, these males who resort to domestic violence, I do know how clever they are at hiding who they really are and their hatred of women. I talked about misogyny yesterday. What is misogyny? It is different to chauvinism. It is different to sexism. And misogyny exists within all genders. It is not purely a male hatred. It's something that exists in everybody, even within ourselves. And I had said yesterday on the Sandhya show, which I haven't published yet, that misogyny is also what I see when I see women wanting to put, cosmetic surgery. I know, huge, terrible call I'm saying, because everyone's like, how dare you? You should let women do whatever they want that makes them happy. Why is warring with your own face normal? Why is looking at the mirror and going, ew, I look ugly and horrible, I need to be beautiful? Beauty is not for everybody. And I will talk about that in next week's The Sandhya show. This is what is fucking up a lot of people, frankly, because everyone thinks they want the attention that beauty gets, but they don't actually have the mindset. And so many women now have been made to feel guilty for the way they look. And so these beautiful women, the women who are born with the DNA that makes them biologically beautiful, then become all slaves to that physicality. But we will talk about this more next week. I'm going to continue with Sydney Morning Herald headlines. Commissioner denounces Molly's horrifying alleged murder. The police commissioner says the New South Wales government's review of bail laws is a priority after a terrible and frankly horrifying crime. My apologies. Excuse me. I'm just going to read a little bit of this article. The New South Wales Police Commissioner has denounced the horrifying alleged murder of young mother Molly Ticehurst and backed a state government review of bail laws as a priority as the national debate over domestic violence escalates. What debate? There should be no debate. This is a crime against humanity. Even a slap is too much now. Too much. And I say now. Why do I say now? Because sometimes, let's face it, every single person on this planet could do with a slap occasionally. From themselves, preferably, just whacking yourself. Whack yourself. Wake yourself up. Oh, by the way, if you want niceties and gentleness, you're not going to find it here. I'm a bit tired of that. I'm also tired about being polite. I'm tired about, being okay for your comfort zone. I'm not here for that. I can't do that anymore. The world is not changing because we all need to be softly, and you need to be less aggressive. You need to be really, I'm kind, I'm compassionate, but I am brutal. I am demanding vocal telepathy from myself first. We have it in our relationship. That's the start. And now on my channel, on our channel, this is where I'm going to also provide vocal telepathy. And it's up to you what you want to do. Do you still want to hide from yourself? I'm going to continue with this article. The community of Forbes, it's a lovely small community, is mourning the death of Ticehurst, 28, who was allegedly beaten to death by former partner Daniel Billings in the Central West town earlier this week. Billings had been released on bail despite facing allegations of multiple sexual and violent assaults on Ticehurst at the time of the alleged murder. New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb on Thursday described Ticehurst's death as a terrible and frankly horrifying crime. I'll say from the outset that police share the sentiment of the community, and I believe that. I do. I have said things about the police force as a body, and how the system then swallows the good people and forces them to pledge allegiance because it's for the bigger picture. This is how good people who enter politics then are unable and powerless. They find themselves like unable to go anywhere because it becomes that if you pledge allegiance, we must all hold hands and all step forward together. And no one goes anywhere with that. No one goes anywhere. On Tuesday, New South Wales Premier Chris Minns announced a review of bail laws to determine whether urgent law reform is required. All these PR talk, all this PR speak. Let's get brutal. Commissioner Webb on Thursday backed it as a priority. I know we need to talk legalese because promises made have to cut through a lot of bureaucratic red tape that was put in place to seemingly protect abusers. Because let's face it, and I am someone who has protected abusers my entire life. I've protected the person who fractured my spine. I've protected the people who raped me. I've protected the woman who tried to kill me. And my ex-best friend. I've protected all of these people. Why do we do that? And these people walk around freely, and of course they think that then nothing, no consequence is going to get them. We are unbreakable. Understand that. Billings was released on bail by a registrar of Dubbo's local court. Dubbo is out Central West. On April 6th, about 2 weeks before he allegedly killed Ticehurst. Police had fought Billings' release, saying he posed a risk and had made threats against his former partner. A source has told, but is not allowed to speak publicly. Billings was released on a 5,000 Australian surety and an apprehended violence order to protect Ticehurst. He was ordered to stay out of Forbes. That's not going to do anything. That didn't do anything. Ticehurst, Molly, had laid low for a week after Billings' release, allegedly telling her family she feared him. And I'm telling you now, a lot of women, good, strong, brilliant women, are in fear of their ex-partners, especially the ones who are subjected to narcissists. Because males and their weak minds and their egos, usually impotent physically. That's why they're mentally just weak, mentally weak. Not all males, not the men. They are men in this world. They are. But they too have to stand up, and males have to man up. It's not anyone else who has to man up. It is the males. The men have to man up, because what are you letting happen to the world? You've been given this physicality for a reason. Women were given the responsibility of bringing more people into this world, the custodians of this planet. And men, what are you doing? You're not men. I love men. Don't get me wrong on this one. I'm not a misandrist. I love men. I think that they are spectacular. I'm not saying women are superior. There's no such thing as a superiority. It is just women were given the roles of being what but our language, the English language or anything, any sexism and chauvinism deems that males are superior to the very people who are responsible for bringing people into the world and the ones who can actually multitask? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Get over yourselves. There's a place for every single person on this planet, every gender, and certainly there is place for males who are men. Men are wonderful. Women, we know this, and that's why we continue to forgive them. We continue to give them the benefit of the doubt because we see the potential in all males. But it is up to you to man up and grow into the vessel that you were given before birth. May I remind you that all people start off as female. And then those, I guess, that are deemed not strong enough to withstand what a woman is required to do. And I say this not having ever given birth, because pregnancy to me is ill. However, I remain in awe of women who choose or have to be pregnant. I'm going to continue reading this article. Commissioner Webb is said to be hard hit by Ticehurst's death, saying domestic violence has been a priority since she took the top police job in New South Wales. I have always said domestic violence is a silent crime. That needs to change. Oh yeah, it's been a silent crime for centuries. For so long it was seen as just a woman's lot in life if she is with a partner who is going to take out his rage against the world on her. Ask me how I know. Oh, because I know personally. I saw it happen to my mother. I was born into privilege, and I share a lot about this in this is the news, right? But I'm telling you the news. This is what's happening. And as I said, there were stats that said in the last 2 years, since what, 2022, since 2021, since 2020, since the lockdowns, domestic violence statistics all over the world, because people couldn't go out and take their rage out on the world, so they had to take it out on the punching bags at home, huh? Punching bags of flesh and bones with the wombs that brought these weaklings into the world. Males don't want to exist because they don't know who they are, so they take it out on those that are responsible for bringing people into this world. It's not our fault. I'm going to continue reading headlines from Sydney Morning Herald. How many more women have to die before we get serious about this epidemic? We don't call domestic violence an epidemic, do we? Considering it is one of the most prevalent crimes in the world. We need to absolutely, and we need to get brutal about this. We need to really sit these males down who do it and say, why do you do this? I want to know. Why do you do it? I have surmised, I've thought about my father and how and what. He was a man of the people. Talk about it differently in another time. And going to headlines, a woman is being violently killed in Australia every 4 days this year. Rosie Batty urges New South Wales Royal Commission into domestic violence. Rosie Batty. She lost her child. Her son was murdered in 2014 by his father. And she then went on to campaign against violence, domestic violence. Women walk through this world. We have to walk through this world with a smile on our face. Otherwise we get told, oh, why aren't you smiling, love? Oh, give us a smile. It's like, and yet we walk with fear, and we've got to walk with all the masks of our clothing, of our cosmetics, of our smiles, just so we can remain safe and politely, so we don't make waves, especially women of multicultural. The younger generations, have the audacity, and if you are the person, the more privilege you have around you, the more strength you have to walk through the world with audacity, but we are all still very wary. We come across crazies all the time. The other day, the other day we came across a crazy. But be careful who you mess with, because you don't know who is crazier than you. And I do say that actually with the good people, because I think all of us, we've had enough. We've had enough of living in fear and being suppressed. We've had enough. It's time to rise up. It's time to evolve. And evolution needs revolution. And we're going to evolve, but right now I think we're heading to perfect evil. And we talked about this before, evolution. Evolution doesn't sit here and go, are we good enough yet? Or is it evil? No, evolution will just happen once that balance that humanity has created and tipped, once that tips to whatever it is, perfect evil or perfect good. And we are in the times of evil. And evil is not the opposite of good. Evil is the result of apathy. Evil is the result of complacency. Are there other headlines I want to read? Look, a plea for help after the heartbreak of Bondi Junction. If you are watching from New South Wales and from Sydney in particular, one of the most popular shopping centres in Sydney, in the affluent area of Bondi. It seems like it's a ghost town right now because, of course, 3 weeks ago, there was a horrific incident, murder at Bondi Junction, and where 6 people lost their lives, 5 women, 1 male, and the 12 others, were badly injured. But now, unfortunately, the people of the tenants of that shopping centre, are now asking for people to go back because it's a ghost shopping centre, and the the tenants are pleading, not the owners, mind you. The owners will still collect their rent, and I think it's about $20,000 Australian a month rent. And this was a shopping centre that was quite busy, but now no. So perhaps it's not the tenants who should be pleading; it's the shopping centre owners that should be saying, "Okay, we will not charge you rent, and we will do better things to the shopping centre to ensure the safety," because everyone is running scared. Oh, they're not running scared when people of multicultural or First Nations get, things happen. No one seemed to have cared that a 10-year-old boy committed suicide in state care. It's like, oh. But, when people are like, oh my gosh, no, this should not have happened here in this affluent suburb. It shouldn't have happened. But apparently, security guards had been asking for more security weeks and months before, asking the owners of the shopping centre. Profits, people, that's what life is all about, huh? That's why we're never going to change. That's why the cycles will not stop. That is why ceasefire is not. It's just, it either makes you look good, or it either, just pinpoints you as to who you are. I'm not using shadow terms anymore. I've been suspended and banned. My Facebook account was, deleted, etc. And I'm not as active. I'm just asking the questions. I am active. I'm just not hiding. We're all, we have to resort to eugenics. Is that what it is? Could you look that term up for me? EUGENICS. It's when you use numerals in place of letters. I'm not sure. I think I could be wrong on that one. I'm going to now...
Sorry, I wasn't on my finger.
Oh, sorry. So I'm going to now go to SBS and NITV, which is the Indigenous news channel. Yesterday was Anzac Day. I didn't say too much, except that I have been to Gallipoli in Turkey.
Eugenics is a set of beliefs and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of human population.
Okay, so I was completely off, but I like that. Keep that there. We're going to talk about that some other time. Let me go back to NITV. Servicemen returning from war were promised land.
There's a bit more.
Okay.
Historically,
sorry,
eugenicists have attempted to alter human gene pools by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior or promoting those judged to be superior.
Oh my gosh, so that is what is happening currently. So I did have that word in my for a reason, but I'm actually looking for the word when people substitute numerals for letters, and this is what it's like a way for us to beat the bots on social media who are looking to find all of us who are pro-humanity. Also, again, if you are listening with fury, yeah, thank you. I don't know if that couldn't be heard. Dwayne had already read that out. That's not exact. That's not. I did. Thank you. That is what. Thank you. But that's not the word I'm looking for. But yes, eugenics is what is actually happening now. Absolutely, what is happening now. Because, look, I lost. The news isn't really newsy today, is it? Because I'm just focusing on certain issues in the world today. The world would, well, the news wouldn't exist without the tragedies of the world. And movies have been made. Even a Bond movie was made about the fact that if you create the tragedy, then you can sell more newspapers. And that is, of course, something we talked about yesterday, and we talked about in Finalysis when we were talking about movie quotes. And I said that one of my movie quotes was from a movie called Inside Man, where the character Madeline White, played by Jodie Foster, then explains something that Baron de Rothschild did, one of the first Jewish lord in the House of Commons, and English, but from Germany, the trail, and had said that when blood is being spilt on the streets, that's when you buy property. And I had explained, and I was talking about that, this is how the rich get richer. They make sure that the cycle, the fluctuation, follow the stock exchange. Go look at the stock exchange and see what's happening there. Why has everything, oil and gold, etc., these things that should not have gone up, they've gone up. There's a lot of things happening in the stock exchange that makes you wonder, like, who is profiting? And of course, in the pandemic, whilst everyone else suffered, the billionaires became more billionaire. This article that I was reading from NITV, I had said that I have been to Gallipoli in Turkey, and I was filled with fury at this needless, everything is needless, war is needless. We literally, the people in power, literally have the world's peace at their hands. They chose war. Each one can say, okay, let's stop. But what is the problem? Ego. Everyone wants power. Everybody wants power. So great. Go govern your own countries and talk with your people. You know, the people you're supposed to be representing. No, but governments don't see it that way, do they? Governments think that they're there to rule the people. Certainly in this land, we have people in positions of leadership who think that they only can have the right to tell people what to do, and people who are in positions of power in government who are there to be the voice of people and say, no, the people want this. And these people stand alone. And two names I can cite are Senator Lydia Thorpe and Senator David Pocock. These are two of the people, individuals. I mean, Senator David Pocock had to start his own party of one, just so he could be independent and be a voice of the people. And Senator Lydia Thorpe is a voice of her people. And she gets maligned, and she gets pulled down, and she gets cut. And any little misstep she makes, that's it with women, right? Be perfect or else you're nothing. And that benchmark of perfect gets thrown all over the place, and then other things get put into that, what a woman needs to be a woman, to be perfect. We were perfect from the moment we were born. Everything else conspired to make us believe we were less than that. I'm going to go back to this article. The First People's Assembly of Victoria says it has written to federal and state ministers calling on them to provide recognition for Aboriginal servicemen who were excluded from a scheme that helped veterans acquire land. The Soldier Settlement Scheme aimed to build farming communities by giving returning World War I and World War II servicemen loans for the purchase of parcels of land and equipment. They went and fought for their country. They dared come back alive. They should have been rewarded. All these old, usually Euro-white males sending all these young people to their death or to a living horror of PTSD. While these old, usually Euro-white males die older, in the comfort and safety of their richness and their comfortable beds. Do they live with guilt? Do they see the blood on their hands, or do they do the Lady Macbeth thing of out, damn spot? A joint project between federal and state governments, Victoria had acquired some 1 metre hectares of Crown land by 1930. I think 1 million, my apologies, hectares of Crown land by 1930, and 12,000 soldiers took advantage of the scheme. Though roughly 1,000 Aboriginal veterans from both world wars would have been eligible, only 2 are known to have benefited from the scheme. Co-chair of the Assembly, Ngara Murray, said some form of recognition was necessary for the veterans who were denied the scheme, such as her grandfather. Having volunteered to serve a nation that barely recognized our people's existence, Aboriginal soldiers like my grandfather, and I'm quoting, like her grandfather, risked their lives fighting for Australia, the Wamba Wamba Yorta Yorta Dudura Jaja Wurrung woman said. Please understand that Australia, the new country, the construct that was built on sacred land, is built on various country. Now, my understanding of it, of course, is because these are people from their different areas on the land. They only understood who they were as a tribe or as mob from their country, and they each acknowledge. I have seen that the other is from the other country, and they don't, you know. By the way, the etymology of country, where do you think it comes from? This idea of one place that is a womb of, of people born to it. I will share more about the etymology of that word and many other words soon. Continuing, the co-chair of the Assembly said, but when they got home, they faced the same old racism and discrimination. They were denied equal opportunity in their own country, and the disadvantage that caused has trickled down generations. As I said, I did go to the site that is a commemoration of all these wars in Gallipoli in Turkey. It is horrifying to see the names of people. These young people, young males, young men, all like the other, all who were loved ones by their mothers, by their fathers, by their partners, by their children, by their friends. Why are we okay with this? Because we got manipulated into thinking that was the only way for us to feel safe if we send people out to kill other people on our behalf. I can't be impartial about such a crime against humanity. War? What is it good for? Profits. If you want your news unemotional, this is not the place for you. You are as weak as the rest. Yes, I said what I said. I'm going to go internationally to just see what's happening. The Associated Press. Supreme Court appears skeptical that state abortion bans conflict with federal healthcare law. The case marks the first time the Supreme Court has considered the implications of a state ban since overturning the nationwide right to abortion. The state of America is really cracking down on the wombs of America. They want to own them because they want more people. They want people to give birth, continue to give birth, because in the guise of it's every human being's right. Well, every human being should now step back and say, do I really need to have a child? Why? Why do we need to bring more people into this world? All we should have done was bring people in this world to replace ourselves, and ourselves should have been people who gave birth to ourselves first before we give birth to other people. And so now children are being born in this world who really are not equipped to handle this world. Parents feel guilty because they are leaving behind a world or not enough for their children to be able to handle themselves. It is a parent's responsibility to bring people into this world who are equipped to live and give back. There should be a psychological test for both parents, the sperm donors especially, and sadly, the womb woman. Why do you want to have children? Why do you say it's your fundamental right? What is it that you are needing to bring a child into this world for? For what? To replace you? What have you done good for this world? And have you brought a child into this world who is going to then not just do what you've done, the good for the world, but make it better? We are all just custodians of this planet. And now we're this planet's destroyers. Of course, civilians, all of us normal people are being blamed for the atrocities and the uncaring actions of all the corporations that just do it. Just pollute the world. We own the world anyway. What is that mindset? I am truly, absolutely baffled, and I don't like this term, but it's the only term that comes to mind, gobsmacked by this thought pattern, this mindset that people have that we own this planet, that we own other people. Parents think they own children. I've seen it. I was a step-parent. And that's just ego. That's the manifestation of your ego walking around, so you think not only do you own that, but how dare you do, I'm sorry I'm saying such harsh things about this, but it needs to be said. Why do you want to bring children into this world? Why did you have children knowing you yourself were damaged? Why isn't there a school for people who want to be parents to actually go through the understanding of what it means to be a parent? First of all, look to yourself. Are you having children just to fill the emptiness inside you? Or do you think you are now at the stage of being able to bring forth your DNA in another vessel? It's a responsibility that everyone thought and thinks is their right. And now those rights are taken away from women because of the very ones who thought it was their right to sow their seed. And look at what's happened to the world. Look at the people who are in power. The seeds were sown and they were born. Ugh. I can't be bothered reading news headlines. Sorry. It's all just, I get it. I get why it's too harsh. It's too hard to be here. You'd rather get your news from people who actually read all the news headlines out, but also where it's just, it fits your comfort zone. I am angry. I am no longer here to fit your comfort zone. And I get it. People only like those who fit their comfort zones. They don't want their comfort zone cages rattled, because that's what we do. We step inside our cages and we lock them from the inside and go, I can't get out of this. My comfort zone. Airlines will now be required to give automatic cash refunds for cancelled and delayed flights. And so they should, because if we want to actually cancel or delay our flight or reschedule, we get hit with a charge, don't we? Oh, I'm sorry, that's going to cost you $250 per second to change your flight. And yet if they delay and cancel or do whatever they do, it's okay. What else has the Associated Press got? The US is now allowed to seize Russian state assets. How would that work? And so that's why the state of America is sending missiles and funding Ukraine, because they want. So the state of America only funds the people that they will that will benefit them in the long run. So the state of America is against Putin, not Russia. Are you telling me that all the people in Russia are with Putin? I don't think so. In the world, this is why they're cracking down on social media, because they don't want the world to see that the other parts of the world and everybody in the world, the global majority, is actually with the people of this world. So this is why the crackdowns are happening on about social media platforms, why TikTok is under this great, because it's owned by a Chinese, supposedly a Chinese company. I was under the impression that the person who had co-founded it was Singaporean of Chinese ancestry. Turns out, well, the company is Chinese itself, and they are the same company that also created Douyin, which is in China, a billion plus population. Of course, they're going to have their own platforms. They don't look to the West as being superior in terms of all of this. I get it. And China is scary. The world, because they are tired of being the world's factory. And also the women in China are fighting back. They're not wanting to be China's baby factory either. The women in China are actually fighting back and refusing to give birth. Come on, women, come on. We have to unite. We have to get over our own misogyny and our hatred of each other and ourselves. And it's time to put that shit away. And it's time to rise up. Forget about manning up. Woman up. Be deserving of this role you were given at birth. I'm going to now read from Al Jazeera. Israel says moving ahead with Rafah operation as Biden signs $26 billion in aid. So they've sent aid to Ukraine, which Ukraine needs it. They do need aid. But, we're also stunned that the European countries are fighting against each other. Russia is huge, by the way. Russia's borders are everywhere. Russia and the state of America's furthest border are like this far apart. I think that's Anchorage, Alaska, right? And Russia and China and India, the borders are closer than you think. The map that we think is the map of the world is not the map of the world. It is the Euro victors' map that they want you to see. How do the people of Israel feel about what's happening? How do they actually feel about what is happening in... we know, we've seen it on social media. Thank goodness for social media, because we are able to see actually on the ground what people are doing. And this is where I am going to now say the public service announcement of this is why we are looking for sponsors and patrons and advertisers, not just, of course, to make sure that we continue doing the great work we are doing, and that is spreading the need, and it's contagious, for vocal telepathy. I assure you, once people start seeing other people liberated by their own truth and liberated from the machinations and manipulations of the world that ensures our silence, once we get liberated from that, it sets off a chain reaction in others, where other people feel the need, like, I'm going to be truthful too. Everyone, vocal telepathy, that is what we are aiming towards. And even the people of Israel are saying, enough, come on, let us all live. As I was saying, the reasons why they want to ban TikTok and other social media platforms and why they come down so hard on it. TikTok, of course, the state of America wants to ban because it is Chinese owned. And of course, Meta, well, they just shadow ban us. They're not going to get rid of Meta now, are they? Despite what Zuckerberg seems to be doing. I don't know. What is he a mastermind? What is going on? I don't know, but we are now segueing, walking to Studio K, seeing what's happening over here. Wasn't much news today, I'm sorry. But, oh gosh, I'm furious, and I refuse to back down from the tone I have now adopted, and that is brutal. I am kind. I know I am kind. I know I am compassionate. I know I am a good person. I have really, really taken myself through the ringer, really been brutal with myself and attacked every corner of this vessel that houses my essence. And I know who I am, and I know what I want for myself and for this world. And what I want for myself cannot happen. And that's only because of the choice I make, because I refuse to exploit this world just for my ulterior motives. I want everyone to be happy. How can any one of us be happy, truly? Happiness is a result of the harmony of all our other emotions. That means we do have to get everything else into check and just get yourself out of that cage of your comfort zone. We do need anger. Anger makes us know what we don't want in our lives. We do need sadness so that we feel gratitude for the goodness that we have. We do need all our emotions. You know, I'm just like, what are the other emotions? Maybe we do need envy. Is envy an emotion? I don't really understand jealousy, except I think it's okay to be a little bit jealous in a relationship. And this is the first time I have been that, because for me, that shows something in me. What am I not? You know, but it's, I don't know. I'm not sure if jealousy, full-on possessiveness, no, not that stuff, but just a little bit of, well, not possessiveness, but I hate possessiveness. I don't do well with possessiveness, and I cannot be like that on other people. I do not think in terms of owning other people. So, well, we're just seeing what's happening out there because we're in Studio K now. It's a little bit more relaxed. Excuse me, I've got to tell you something. Interesting. Okay. So, I was just talking about how the emotions, what happiness really is a harmony of all emotions. And also I refuse to be in the comfort zone anymore, and I refuse to be, I know I'm kind, I know I'm compassionate, I know I'm a good person, I've done the work on myself to go, okay, I don't sit here and go, okay, I'm a good person, I don't have to do anything now. The reason why people don't want to be good is because that is just the start. Once you realize you're a good person, that is just the start of it all. It's not enough to be good and then sit back and be like, well, I'm good. I don't do anything bad to other people. This is how people are. And that's apathy. That leads to fence sitting, not taking sides, because, well, I'm a good person. I don't do anything bad to anybody, so I'm just going to stay out of it. People stay out of everything. And then you look to other people to fight the things for you, and this is how then people just give over control of their lives to other people. Instead of being in charge of their own selves and saying, I'm going to be actively good, people go, that's it, job done, I'm good. You people work that shit out, and this is what happens. And this is how the world, they like to tell people, just stay in your lane, just do, just don't worry about what other people are doing. That is apathy, and apathy is what has led to evil. Evil is not the opposite of good. Evil is the result of apathy. When good people do nothing.
Yeah, because evil people are consistent. They do.
Evil people are fueled by their own rage and their own lack of identity. And evil has a hierarchy in itself too. There are people who may not go around killing people, but then like that ex-best friend of mine. I mean, how do we talk about this person? She goes around with Jesus number plates and dropping, and like holier than thou and fronting charities, etc. Except I know she's a misogynist who hates other women and also tried to kill me. And also other things. And is she a good person? Because she went to church, became Christian, and never apologized, nor stood up for what? This is why when now, to this day, even though these people are ancient now, Nazi war criminals, they are still being tried to this day for the heinous thing they did to people of Jewish faith, simply because the people of Jewish faith believe something else, and also because they happen to be richer. And this is where it all came from, really. This is really where it all came from, because the people of Germany were convinced that these people were the bad people, the evil people, because they didn't believe the same things that the Christians believed, and that also they had to be evil because they had all these riches. Maybe they were just the smart ones, and they just knew how to do business, and they had money. Sure, there's maybe this is just the hierarchy of the world. Who knows? It's unfair. If you trace a lot of the starts of everything, like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, it comes from a certain type of German person of Jewish faith. And these are the people who then went out into the world and started things like Hollywood, Warner Brothers Studios, etc., etc. And but then again, the state of America hired ex-Nazis as scientists for NASA because German engineering, that's what gets people up in the air. So really, it was the Germans first who were on the moon, really.
Yeah.
The Germans were on the moon first, not the state of America.
Germany won.
Germany won. Germany now is on the side of Israel, and that is their guilt. I don't know if every single German person, of course, when we talk about this, we're talking about collectives, right? So Germany is on the side of Israel because they are consumed by their intergenerational guilt. That is what it's got to be, because it is their actions of their ancestors that actually started it all. I think it's a little bit more insidious than that. I think all the fires got stoked. It behooved, it served everyone's purposes to have everyone fighting against one particular, group of people just based on their religious beliefs. Excuse me? What? And it's happening in this world, eugenics. I'm speechless. I have no words. I have no words. Well, it's just as well because we're coming to the end of the Daily Egg today, which has been a bit ferocious, and I doubt people will watch all of it because I'm just so brutal and everyone wants to be, you have to be soft, you have to be gentle. Why? What has that done for the world? Are the evil people soft and gentle in their evil? Well, some of them are, because like the smiling, auntie in.
I think everyone's tried aggression, and now you have to be softer. Aggression doesn't work, and it has been happening for hundreds of years. People have been fighting, nothing's happened. But it's just the collective, like you're saying. People sitting on fences, people using apathy.
But the collective is made up of individuals who choose not to do anything or say anything.
There's not enough people fighting.
Understand this, that regular viewers know that I am, I'm on a healing trajectory of my own, and I'm not using advocacy and activism and fighting for the world as a shield or avoidance. Oh no. I have gone to war with myself. And I've battled with myself, and I've had to absolutely show myself who is superior, and that is the goodness in me. I had to break the bones of my brain to restart and rebuild. And I'm lucky, I'm fortunate that way, and I'm grateful for my mind for being able to do that for me. And now I advocate for the world, knowing what it is I want for the world. And as me as an individual, the only thing I can do is this. Encourage others to liberate themselves from the cages of their comfort zones. As I said, truth is contagious. Transparency is contagious. And that's why they shut the borders and they shut the information highways. Because transparency is contagious. And that's what's happening now. We're seeing the world's atrocities firsthand. By the way, join us, please, if you dare. Are you a visionary or are you a comfort zone custodian? What are you? Do you want to see the world change, or does it serve your purpose for the world to stay the same as it is? Don't call yourself someone with vision. Don't call yourself someone who wants to help other people if you don't actually want to then get onto the side of people who rattle your own comfort zones. We're looking for patrons, advertisers, and sponsors to help us make this as contagious as possible. Truth, my friends. The truth is around us. It's not just out there. It's in here. The truth is actually in here. But I must be kind, and I must be soft, and I must be gentle. I mustn't be aggressive with this, yes? Because what the world needs now, well, it's a little bit of mollycoddling. More mollycoddling. All right. Well, then this is not for you if you've come this far. This clearly is not for you.
Well, if they've come this far, then it is, right?
Well, I hope so. Am I baiting you? Not really. I'm not baiting. I don't do that. I'm not even angry. This is not anger. This is just like, you know, I just like put, you know, I just think, well, what would God say, right? When God, for whatever God is to anyone, however God is manifesting for you in your belief system, then would God, as I said earlier, what would God say to you, your God? Well done. Good on ya. Bahut khoob. What? What? What would your God say to you individually? Can you answer this question? If the God that you believe in, for those of you who believe in God, and a lot of these evil people tend to believe, or no, they say they believe in God, they don't actually believe in God. They use God as a shield for their own lack of identity. So they latch on to God to provide them with their identity because everyone loves that. I believe in God. Oh, must be a good person. You know, anytime I see someone with a psalm on their Instagram bio, I think, oh, bullshit. Like that stupid model girl who was chosen from Fiji to go and be a model by the Trump agency, you know, to represent Fiji, and she's blue-eyed and blonde and white-skinned, because there's a lot of that, okay? She is Fijian. She's considered more Fijian than me. I was born in Fiji, but because I'm Indian ancestry, but a white-skinned, green or blue-eyed blonde is considered Fijian. And all she was is a village girl. And she's gone back. She's not a model. She was really good, actually. But, yeah. And I met her a few times, and I thought, oof, you're a bit of a nasty one, aren't you? But I get that the nastiness was because she was, this little village girl was thrust into, you know, a society and then taken out into the world because she was striking in a way. She did have, I did think she was quite a good model, but just doesn't have that fortitude. And all she was a village girl. And she's gone back and she's a parent now. And apparently, from what I understand, she married someone who used to bash her. I don't know. Look, I don't know. This is just the rumors and gossip mill that But people do this to each other. People do this to each other. Anyway, my point of this was she used to put psalms in her Instagram bio, and I thought, but I know you, and you are not a very nice person at all. Oof. At this stage, I also knew other people who were prone to dropping psalms everywhere, like they were like MC Jesus, or like, you know, here to like be the public relations for God. My gosh, are the worst things. I'm telling you now, the Christian God that is supposed to come back, or Jesus, right? They're not coming. He's not coming. Your PR campaign has just completely gone. He's not coming to save you. And all these women who think that Jesus is going to be their ultimate husband. Yeah. Work on yourselves. Wow. This is getting worse and worse. I'm getting harsher and harsher. Someone's got to be the bitch in the house. Might as well be me. I've suppressed a lot of it for a long, long time, protecting my abusers. No more. All right, well, that's it for today. It is time for the most important part of the show, the Daily Egg. Ta-da! Thanks for being here. If you have managed to listen this far, I'm not angry. I'm not angry. I'm very calm about what I'm saying. I'm very calm. And I'm hungry. So, gotta go. Bye. See you later. Join us this evening for the slideshow. Our first episode. We had the trailer last week, so you do know what's coming up. And tomorrow we've got an entire weekend of fantastic things. We have got the feed. We have got What Was It Like? Part 2 of the story of my career path and the life and times of that time. And also on Sunday, we have Stylander. Join me for that. I will be talking about Pacific Runway and some of my favorite Pacific designers. And after that, we have The Riff. And we will be talking about, we don't know just yet, we'll let you know in the schedule, but please do join us if you can, because apart from all this heavy stuff, we have also a lot of light, delightful, entertaining things, but we're us, so we're always going to find, the depth and profundity in everything we talk about. Hey, we can find the depth and profundity in talking about Chip and Dale, the cartoon squirrels, because everything is life. Thank you very much. Bye. Thank you very much. I'm here all week.